Tonight, my very special guest is a true rock and roll icon. He began his career in the 60s with a band called the Rockin' Vickers, then formed a psychedelic tour de force called Hawkwind. Today, he is the leader of rock's most important heavy metal band, the historic badass group of outlaws called Motörhead. He's one of the most interesting characters in a world populated by an endless array of fascinating musical personalities, and he's here tonight to talk about a new documentary on his life, as well as a brand new album from Motörhead called The World Is Yours. You are about to meet the one and only Lemmy. You are listening to the United States premiere of the brand new Motörhead album, The World Is Yours. That's the first time that was ever played on a radio station in America, and I'm proud to have it on my show. It was great, Lemmy.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Really great cut, Born to Lose. It gets across not only lyrically, but I think emotionally the way you're singing, what you're singing about.
Well, I have that kind of voice. It's rough.
You know, it is, but, and we're going to talk about some other things you did beside Motörhead later, but you actually have at least two voices, because when you're playing with the head cat,
right,
it's a very different approach, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, people sang quieter in those days.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into all that
Except
later.
Little Richard.
Yes, nobody sang as loud as Little Richard.
Nobody sang as loud as Little Richard.
Or as well. Thank God is he still playing?
Well, I went to see him a few months back, and he did 8 bars of Good Golly Miss Molly, and then I started handing out Bibles and that, you know.
Oh, boy.
So it's
well, you know, if it keeps him going, I guess it keeps him going. But
whatever you need, you know.
I got a version of him doing Rock Island Line.
Yeah,
that is. Have you heard that?
Yeah.
Jeez Louise. Did you hear the Jerry Lee?
He can sing the phone book and it'd be good, you know.
Oh, yeah. Have you heard the Jerry Lee Lewis One Man Standing album?
No, I've heard this Mean Old Man one he's just done.
It's good, but it ain't One Man Standing, which came out right before it, and he's in his 70s, and he's just kicking everybody's ass.
We supported him, you know, in Pomona a few months back. Me and what the head cat did, and we got to meet him and everything. Got to meet one of my idols for a change.
Cool, very cool.
So he's kind of quiet now, you know. I'm sure he's just simmering and seething there, you know, because he's not 28 anymore and he hates it.
Yeah.
But when he sits down, they have to bring him out on stage. When he sat down the piano, it was just fine, you know.
Maybe he saves it up for that.
I guess.
Yeah. Well, since we're talking about early days, a couple things. You're at the documentary, I just love seeing this, the Rockin' Vickers. Now, this was a 60s band, if there ever was one.
Right.
Was this your first taste of success?
Yeah, that level, it was,
Mm-hmm.
Where you got a guitar bought for you by the band, you know, that was very big.
Right.
And you were all in a big van.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, not in a car, you know, like.
Yeah. You know, Steven Tyler was on David Letterman the other night. I think it was last night. And he asked him a very good question to that point, because Steven Tyler is going to be doing American Idol.
I know,
Okay, and I'm a Steven Tyler fan, but I am not a fan of American Idol.
No.
And and Letterman, of all people, said, you know, aren't guys supposed to go out in a van and play all over the country in little dives and pay their dues? And I thought that was a great question, you know, rather than just show up on a TV show.
I know. I don't understand it. I think probably Steve's just tired of touring.
Yeah.
Because they've done plenty of it, haven't they, you know, I guess. And they're at a bigger level than me. I mean, I don't mind touring still, but like I'm not getting the kind of goldfish bowl they are, you know.
Mm. Well, anyway.
He's a great guy. I mean, I've known him for ages. I've known Aerosmith a long time. You know?
Yeah, I like him very much. It just seemed odd that he would do that, but that's what he wanted to do. All right, well.
I think he might regret it halfway through, actually. You know?
Yeah. When you guys check out this documentary, wait till you see the Rockin' Vickers, because I just love that whole... you know, era with the puffy shirts and...
That's the lap national costume we're wearing there.
Yeah.
Even down to the reindeer skin boots.
God, it looked like we're all a bunch of poofs back then, but no. And then after the Rockin' Vickers, you had Hawkwind, which I thought was way ahead of its time.
That was a great band, yeah. I mean, we used to lock the doors so people couldn't get out. I mean, that wasn't the Pink Floyd, you know what I mean? We used to have 8 strobes on the crowd at eye level.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah, nothing on the band. Right?
Oh, on the crowd. And I'm sure...
the 6'2" woman with 52-inch breastwork dancing naked, painted blue as well.
Wow.
That used to make him sit up a bit, especially the young boys, you know.
What was her name? Because she was...
Stacia.
Stacia?
Stacia.
Yeah, she was healthy.
She was healthy, and she didn't mind who knew it.
No, apparently she's pretty proud of that. It's also in the documentary, so check that out without your kids. A lot of people in the documentary talk about how the LA music scene has embraced you. And I'd like to hear what it is about this town that you like, since you chose to live here.
Well, this is where all the good jams are, you know. I mean, this is where most of the music business lives, really.
Mm-hmm.
So unless you're here, you really haven't got your finger on it. You could be in New York, but that's a different thing, you know. And anyway, it snows too much in the winter. I mean, I can't imagine it, you know. Don't you miss the seasons? I say, no, man, I don't.
No.
Not for half an hour, I don't. You know, on a postcard, great.
Yeah.
In a movie, fantastic. Don't put me in the snow. So, because I grew up in it and I hate it. So I think it's a great place to live if you're in a band, you know, because like you hear about stuff long before anybody else does, you know, and like you can take advantage of like being around a lot of the people that move and shake it, you know. I mean, it's not that I do much, you know, because we're not that level really. I don't need to do that because we're where we are, you know. I'm quite happy with that.
But if they happen to show up on a bar stool next to you at the Rainbow, you'll talk to them.
Yeah, I'll give them a quick rundown.
Good. And do you find, because I'm a native Southern Californian, I was born here, and I always get a bit irritated when I hear people talk about all the phonies.
I know, man, it's really stupid, you know, because like, there's phonies all over the world, you know. They're not just, it's like they're exclusive to Southern California. Yeah. It's not true, you know. There's a lot of phonies in London, you know, but you're used to the accent if you're British, you know, and anyway, one thing about LA phonies, they're easier to spot before they get to you, you know, because they're always the loudest, right? And
they're usually from out of town, acting like they think you're supposed to act in LA, rather than just being a person.
Exactly. This is how we do it in LA, obviously. You know,
Yeah. Describe a typical day in the life of Lemmy for me.
Oh, I usually do 4 interviews in the afternoon and then another one in the evening, and after that I go to a strip club. There's a variety of like creature comforts available in Southern California.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yes, it's true. Not as many as Portland, Oregon, but there are quite a lot.
Portland, Oregon, really?
Portland, Oregon has the most strip clubs per capita than anywhere else in the world, apparently.
Wow. You know, I'll take your word for that, because I imagine that you've researched that.
I haven't been to them all, you know what I mean? But, like, I've seen them driving by on the way to the next one, you know.
Well, you're not done touring yet, so there's still time.
That's true, there's still time.
All right, let's talk about this song, Get Back in Line, from the new album. And again, do you mind if I quote a lyric I liked here? We are trapped in luxury, starving on parole. No one told us who to love. We have sold our souls. Why do we vote for faceless dogs? Good line. We always take the bait. All things come to he who waits, but all things come too late. Pretty hard on our elected officials in this song.
Hey, sorry.
No, don't apologize to me. I'm just pointing it out.
Well, you know, half of them aren't elected officials anyway, are they? They're just coasting, you know. I mean, it's just... I think the way people get treated in this country is like getting worse, and it should be getting better because, you know... I don't understand this recession thing either. How could there be a recession? It's the richest state in the Union. Yeah. You know, what happened?
I think that somebody wasn't watching the bank book.
You think? Yeah. Really? Well, somebody wasn't watching the bank.
Yeah, amen.
Not the bank book, the bank.
To that point about, this is the second time you talk about how people are treated in the country. Yesterday, we celebrated the birthday of one of my big heroes, which is Dr. Martin Luther King.
Right.
And it was a moment to kind of take pause and look at a positive change in America, because just a slight 40, 50 years ago, you and I can remember what this country was like, and it was pretty ugly.
Yeah.
And now we have Barack Obama as a president.
I think he's good, but I think he's being blocked.
Yes. Yeah.
I think he's getting screwed all the time. I don't think he understood what was coming when he got to Washington, you know.
No, and how forceful it would be.
I don't think he knew how many people would like flat out hate him there, because there are a lot of them up there, and they're all stuck in their place, you know. You're never going to get rid of them for a while at least, you know.
It seemed like they didn't even give this guy a chance. No. Usually you get a honeymoon, but he didn't.
Well, the press was straight on him.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, is it like fourth day?
Yeah. Oh, he's in now, so we can attack him. That's good.
I mean, nobody attacked Bush, you know, after he got in 5 days, you know.
Yeah. Well, all right. Let me play this song. This is from Motörhead's brand new CD. And the tune is called "Get Back in Line." You're listening to the American premiere of the new Motörhead CD, "The World Is Yours." It's my pleasure to welcome a true rock and roll icon to the radio station. Lemmy, how are you?
So far, so good. How are you?
Doing well, man. Thanks for coming in tonight.
Oh, you're welcome.
You got a brand new album out called "The World Is Yours." You got a brand new documentary entitled "Lemmy." This looks like it's going to be a good year for you.
Never know, as long as people like them. You know?
Well, there is that, Lemmy.
Yeah,
yes,
there is that.
You can put them out, but you can't make them like them.
I know, yeah.
But, it's too bad you don't have any hardcore fans, though, Lemmy. For God's sake, there are people that seem like they'd walk over broken glass to watch this stuff.
Yeah, well, luckily we don't make them, you know. We say you can walk over whole glass.
Yeah.
Or you can walk with boots on. I mean, you know, we treat them pretty good. The ones who've been with us for a long time, we got some amazing fans. I mean, a German guy showed up in Brazil, in Sao Paulo once.
Is that right?
I was going to the bank in the airport and he bobbed up next to me. "Hello, Lemmy." I said, "What are you doing here?" He said, "I thought I would come and see what it is like in Brazil when you play."
Is that right?
It's incredible, you know.
Man.
They plan their vacations around our tours, you know.
Well, you got to be grateful for that. To have people
I am, believe me. We give them their own dressing room when there's enough space, you know.
Really?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Well, hell, I'll show up in Brazil for my own dressing room. That's good. In the documentary, you have a number of your friends, from Slash to the guys in Metallica to Billy Bob Thornton, all singing your praises. That had to make you feel good.
It was equal parts good and kind of embarrassed as well, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as you don't believe it all, you know.
Is it hard for you to take compliments?
No, I love compliments. Believe me, you know, you can't get enough compliments in your miserable, twisted life, right? But
I'm testimony to that, Lemmy.
As long as you don't start believing it, you know.
Yeah. Tell us about shooting the documentary. Was it fun? Was it invasive?
It was both, you know, different times, right? I mean, those two were on us, man. You know, they came to Russia with us, for God's sake.
Yeah.
You know, they were in every place. And they were always saying, we've only got... I said, you must have enough for 3 movies by now. Yes, but we haven't got this particular shot, you know.
Yeah.
So we were always, you know, rubbing up against them like that. But there you go. They did a good job, man.
They really did. And you got a good sense of what your life is like, both as a person and a musician.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a keen insight into who you are, you know, which is what you want from a documentary.
Exactly, yeah. What's the point of it otherwise? It's just like, you know... What's that old fella called? It used to be on the Discovery Channel. It's just him talking over film clips, isn't it? You know, that's the usual format.
Yeah. Well, this was good. How are your fellow bandmates Philip and Mickey doing?
They're doing all right. Phil's here at the moment, actually. Mickey comes over soon for the shows, you know.
Yeah.
So he'll be over on the 23rd. We've got 1 day's rehearsal.
Yeah, you got shows, by the way, let me mention that, at the House of Blues in Anaheim, Tuesday, January 25th, and you're going to play the Club Nokia on Friday, March the 11th.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a bit about this brand new album, The World Is Yours. This is, I'm going to play the first cut, but I want to quote a lyric here if you don't mind.
Sure.
A heavy heart like a bag of nails. I like that imagery. Stand up, show your face, another victim of the cold embrace. Before too long, no more singers, no more songs. Kind of a bleak view of the world. What inspired this tune?
Man, a bleak view of the world inspired this tune. Because if you don't think the outlook's bleak at the moment, you haven't been watching the news lately, you know. I mean, they keep having the furry bunny story at the end, you know, just to cheer us up, but...
Yeah.
It doesn't really work if you've seen the news more than once.
Just when you're ready to actually take the fistful of sleeping pills, they show the furry bunny story. So it'll be there.
I know, so it cheer you up, you know.
Is there one thing in particular at the top of this long list of stuff that's going on that bothers you?
Injustice, and there's plenty of that.
Injustice.
Yeah, you know, not being treated equal, people not being treated equal, you know, people being treated really badly for no reason, people being made into ciphers, into blocks of numbers, you know, and shuffled around. I think it's disgraceful. Man. The modern society has got a lot to answer for. It's dehumanizing everybody, you know.
Well, now this song really comes into focus. Ladies and gentlemen, a brand new tune from Motörhead. It's from the album The World Is Yours, Cut 1, Born to Lose. Welcome back to our interview with Lemmy, and really glad to have you here tonight.
Watcho, so am I.
I want to ask you a couple of questions unrelated to Motörhead, because I watched the documentary, and there was a couple things you said in there I just got to ask you about.
Okay, yeah.
You were lucky enough to see the Beatles before they had a record deal?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Well, they'd actually just signed, but they were still fulfilling their old gigs, you know. And they played the Cavern. I went and got to see them.
And what was your impression back then, and looking back on it, what do you think?
Oh, they were great, you know. I mean, they were hours, like, for a few minutes, but you knew they weren't going to stay hours. You knew they were going to go, you know, because they were like a four-headed monster on stage, you know.
Wow.
As soon as Ringo joined, I thought, you know, that's when it became the Beatles, the strong, four-headed thing, you know. Before that, it was like three of them and the good-looking one, you know.
Yeah.
Because Pete was always the good-looking one, you know, as far as the chicks in the cabin were concerned. Because he looked like Jeff Chandler, you know. I know you don't know who that is, Radio Land, but believe me, he was great when he played Cochise.
Yeah.
So anyhow, apart from the end jokes, they were excellent always. And I saw them in North Wales twice after that. I saw them in London and Roll as well, so they were excellent all the time.
And people who may not have been around back then and just kind of see pictures of the Beatles may not realize these were kind of badass guys before they got in the suits.
They were from Liverpool, man, you know. I mean, they all were... I mean, when they came back from Hamburg, people thought they were German.
Wow.
Because they looked so alien to everybody else. I mean, they all had leather jackets, leather trousers, hair combed up, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, they were teddy boys, you know. They were greasers, you know.
Yeah. Have you ever given any thought to why we got such an explosion of talent? I mean, is it just coincidence that these four guys found each other, that Bob Dylan came along at that time, that the Stones found each other?
I know, it was amazing, wasn't it? Yeah. I mean, every time you turned around, there was another good band showed up, you know. The Searchers, the Escorts, you know. I mean, there's so many of them from Liverpool. It was incredible, the big three, you know.
Yeah.
And then, of course, England, it's the weather, you see. You have to stay home and rehearse. You can't go out, it's raining.
Oh, I see. Got down at the beach, I see.
Yeah. What beach? There's no beach.
Yeah. Well, there's some rocks that hit the water.
There's the docks, you know.
Yeah. And so you get to see the Beatles, and then at some point you become Jimi Hendrix roadie and score acid for him.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, too bad you haven't had an interesting life, Lemmy.
That was a good job description, wasn't it? Really, you know, you couldn't get another job with it. Yeah, well, I was lucky, see, I was really in the right place at the right time a lot of times, you know, that was great. I mean, I feel really almost as if, like, I must have been trying to do it, but not consciously, you know, because I just wound up in all them places.
Wow. And what was Hendrix like as a guy? Did you like him?
Yeah, I did. He was immensely likable. But, I mean, he was blitzed out of his skull most of the time, but, I mean, he was... When you've done a certain amount of acid, you stay rational, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like not one of them things that makes you unconscious, you know. I mean, you're walking and talking, you know.
Right.
It's just that it gets a bit more longer spaces between the words,
right.
You know?
Right. I don't know who had this quote, but it was a great one, and it was one of the few pieces of advice I ever followed when it was regards to acid. When you get the message, hang up the phone.
Yeah.
You know.
Or the other one, there's some bad acid going around. If you're not sure, only take half a tab.
Yeah. That was the mentality about, okay, I'll only take half a tab of bad acid.
I know.
Great. Oh, dear God.
That was over the microphone at one of the festivals in England. It's great.
Oh, my God. All right. Well, let's talk about Headcat. I love this band. It's you, Slim Jim Phantom from the Stray Cats on drums, and lead guitarist Danny B. Harvey. Tell us how this project came about.
Well, me and Jim, I'd known him and the Stray Cats since the 70s. I met him in London during the punk thing, right? So we see each other now and again, and they opened the Cat Club, And then Johnny Ramone, God rest him, asked us to do a song on this Elvis tribute album he was doing. So we went down and did Good Rockin' Tonight, yeah? And then we were in the studio, we did that in about 10 minutes, because we all know the song. And then we started just fooling around on a couple of acoustics. Me and Danny and Jim was on a couple of cardboard boxes and that, which is more or less what the Crickets were using back then,
Mm-hmm.
And we said, shit, we all know all these songs by heart. Why don't we just do an album? It'd be so simple. And it was. We did the whole thing in 2 weeks.
Wow.
We did the last album in 4 days, the new one.
And what is it about this style of music that you like so much?
Well, it's what I cut my teeth on, It's what I grew up with. It's what excited me to do rock and roll in the first place, So I'm just trying to see how good I can do them songs,
Well, let me tell you, you can do them songs pretty damn good. So this is Headcat and a song called Matchbox. And I love that track. I just love that track. That's Headcat and their version of Matchbox. Now, your voice sounds very different than when you're approaching a Motörhead tune.
Well, that was my Carl Perkins voice.
How many voices you got in there?
Well, I got a few.
Because I heard the Barbra Streisand in the hallway there, and I thought that was really impressive.
Barbra Streisand is more difficult because I've done up the nose, really, for the breathing in before the notes,
My guest tonight is Lemmy of Motörhead, and we're doing the premiere of the new album, The World Is Yours. But I want to ask you about a guy that you worked with before we play something from the new album again.
Right.
And we know this guy is, we were talking about him when we were smoking outside, that he's just, hard to get along with, never a nice word for anybody, really got a bad attitude. And of course, we're talking about Slash because that describes it.
Slash is one of the nicest guys I ever met, man.
He really is. He really is. You almost want to use the word sweetheart, but he's too macho for that. But he's just a nice guy.
Yeah, he's got his arms are too big. He could lay out.
That's the other thing. Yeah.
Wouldn't want to upset him.
No, I wouldn't want to upset him. Tell us about your friendship with him. When did you first meet Slash?
1986, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
They were playing at the Marquee Club in London, Guns N' Roses. And the whole band, apart from Axl, came up to the studio where we were doing Orgasmatron. Sat around and shot the shit, for a while.
Yeah.
And I've been in touch ever since, more or less.
He really is. I mean, he's, if you just took the guy at face value in a dark alley one night, you wouldn't think that.
Oh, I know, man. You'd think, well, any of Guns N' Roses, really.
Yeah, but he's such a gentleman, and I do love this guy. You recently, you worked with him on his latest album where you did a song called Dr. Alibi. Right. How true to your real life is Dr. Alibi?
80-20.
I'm taking 80 for the truth and 20 for not, or the other way around?
Yeah, more or less, yeah. I mean, it's just one of them defiant numbers. I wrote it in about 10 minutes. He sent me the track, and I just wrote it. I can write words, you see, I'm good at that quick.
Mm-hmm.
That thing with Dave Grohl I did in 10 minutes, wrote the track, we got a cab down the studio and bingo,
Now, when you write lyrics, do you need to hear the music first, or are you just dictating poetry?
Well, I can write it as poetry, but then it won't fit with the music. You might as well hear the music first, and less tears before bedtime, and
And does that inspire you and give you tap you into the muse when you hear?
Well, if it doesn't, you can always say I can't do the lyrics to this.
Okay, there's always that. Yeah. Sorry, I'll be down at the Rainbow for another drink.
I'll see you guys. You go on ahead.
Yeah. Sorry, Lemmy's got a doctor's appointment. From Slash's album R and F and Roll, that's Slash and Lemmy teaming up for Dr. Alibi. You are listening to the American premiere of Motörhead's new album, The World Is Yours, with my very special guest, Lemmy. We'll be back with more with my guest, Lemmy. It's so nice to have you here, man.
Thank you very
really
much.
Is. We're doing the American premiere of the new album, The World Is Yours. When will the album be released?
It's coming out in February now. It was supposed to be January, but I think they run into some glitch or other, about which they never tell us, because we're just a band,
In the music business, you ran into a problem?
Well, no, they did. I don't know what the problem was, so I couldn't run into it with them. So
okay.
I'm kind of glad I had my own problems,
So, yeah, really. We all have our own, enough.
Agenda, yes.
Agendas, yes. Well, so it'll be out next month.
Yeah.
In this, there's one line I want to quote, which Tom Petty said in a song on The Last DJ in a different way, but with the same meaning.
Cursed with plagiarism.
Yeah, no. But you came to the same conclusion, which is rock and roll is my religion.
Uh-huh.
I think a lot of people feel this way. I think the music is their salvation in a way. And I know that for me, who is not a religious person in the sense I don't go to church, I don't have a psychiatrist, although many people have recommended it.
A psychiatrist, yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
That's another one in California, isn't it?
There you go. Yeah, I don't do therapy. I don't do group hugs. But I do have, for 4 hours a night, the ability to come in and work out whatever is going on through playing this music.
Right.
And I always feel better at the end of the show.
That's right, man. The best therapy there is.
There you go. So I want you to expand on that for a minute, about why that is with rock and roll music.
The easiest way to say that is that music will get you through times of no money better than money will get you through times of no music,
Speaking of plagiarism, that's from the Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers.
All the same, it's still true.
Amen.
And that comic ain't around no more, so.
Yeah. Yeah, it's...
that's a shame, too. That was a great comic, man.
Wasn't that great?
Fat Freddy's cat. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Times of dope will get you through times of no money better than
money will get you through times of no dope. It's true about music too. I mean,
Is it still as? Does it still fill you up? I think is the only way I can put that. As much when you play and you write, does it still give you that feeling that it always has?
It still strokes my back. Yes, it still cheers me right up. Because that's about the best way I can put it. Because you go on stage sometimes, you feel knackered, I don't know if you know what that word means. That's what they used to do to old horses at the glue factory.
Oh.
The knacker's yard, So you're really screwed up. Even on the bus all day, you don't feel like... The last thing you feel like doing is going on stage, And within 2 seconds of hitting the first note, everything's okay again, you're tired again after, right? But while you're on stage, Fee Wavell of the Tubes fell off the stage in Hammersmith Odeon and broke his leg, and went back on stage and did 2 more songs.
Yeah,
he didn't know he broke his leg till afterwards.
The adrenaline.
Yeah, it just best painkiller in the world.
Well, speaking of good painkillers, check this out. It's called Rock and Roll Music. It's from the new album from Motörhead, and it'll tell you everything that we were just talking about. Brand new from Motörhead. It's called Rock and Roll Music from The World Is Yours. Another hot track, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. Would you do me a favor, get a little closer to that?
Yes, I will.
There you go. Get the Lemmy tones in there.
Yes.
We're going to give away a pair of tickets to see you guys. You're playing at 2 different places. The Club Nokia on Friday, March 11th, but you'll also be at the House of Blues in Anaheim on January 25th. January 25th, and KLOS and Live Nation are welcoming Motörhead. Tickets are on sale right now, but if you're caller number 25, Lemmy will give you a pair of tickets. 1-800-955-KLOS for a pair of tickets to see Motörhead at the House of Blues in Anaheim. Call right now. The phones are open, and Jordan's in the other room. He'll handle that. While people are calling in to get the tickets, Lemmy, I want to talk to you about an older Motörhead song, because I found out it was produced by one of my best friends.
Who's that?
Billy Sherwood.
Oh, right.
He's one of these people that just pisses me off.
I know, he doesn't concentrate.
No, he doesn't concentrate. But he can play pretty much anything.
Yeah, I know, he's a genius.
If it makes a noise, he can play. It just makes me so mad that God was that unfair. Let him play guitar real good and let me play keyboards or something. But no.
I know, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sick of them people picking up like a French horn.
Yeah.
And, 5 minutes they're playing like Beethoven on it, It really makes you feel bad.
Thank you, Lemmy. So I'm not the only one here.
Yeah, I played really mediocre guitar, man. It's a good thing I found out about bass,
Well, certainly can play the bass. Well, yeah, Billy Sherwood, he's just another great guy in this business, and he is a musical genius.
Yeah,
he's amazing. Tell me about his production with Hellraiser. Do you remember that session?
Yeah, I do. It was in his, I think it was in his house, wasn't it? Yeah. It was in somebody's house. It was somebody's front room.
Yeah.
I think it was his, yeah. And I went in and sang Hellraiser, and it was too high for me, really. So you can hear me reaching for it, It wasn't my favourite track that I ever did, but, I wanted to do it because I wrote the words for that one too, for Ozzy. Mm-hmm. I wrote 4 songs on that album, That was my favourite album of his because, I wrote 4 songs.
Right.
But it was actually my favourite album of his as well, That and Blizzard of Oz, that was great too.
Yeah. Well, let me play Hellraiser. This is your version of it, and produced by Billy Sherwood, and just a good guy, and I just wanted to give him a little shout out as we play.
Sure, why not? Yeah,
amen.
Good for you. Hello, Bill.
Hello, Bill. One of the people, Lemmy, who was singing your praises, and I on the documentary. And by the way, when is the documentary out? Do you know?
I don't think they do know.
Looking at Kenny right now, Kenny Ryback. Well, when it comes out, you've got to see this documentary. It's fascinating. If you're a Lemmy fan, you'll be pleased. If you're not that into Motörhead yet, you will be by the end of the documentary, because it's a very good piece and a real insight into Lemmy's life. One of the people who was all over this thing was Ozzy Osbourne.
Right.
You're friends with Ozzy, obviously.
Oh yeah, he's a good man,
You wrote "Mama, I'm Coming Home" for him.
I wrote the words, yeah. It was funny because we were on the Ozfest one year, and this guy was interviewing him, and I happened to be in the same room. I was doing something as well. And this guy said to Ozzy, so Ozzy, this new song of yours, Mama, I'm Coming Home, it's really the most personal song you've ever written. It really straight from your heart, I can tell. He said, Lemmy wrote it.
Yeah, Lemmy wrote it.
Brilliant.
I have one, I have many stories of Ozzy, but when I first met him, I was kind of not into metal yet, and I was not a Sabbath fan. And I was pretty vocal about that because I was, Mr. Crosby, Stills and Nash and the Doors and the Beatles and that kind of stuff. And I didn't compute Black Sabbath. So, of course, they play this huge festival called the California Jam.
I remember that.
Remember that? So my boss...
They did it 2 years, didn't they?
Yeah, did it 2 years, that's right. So Sabbath plays, and my boss, knowing my feelings about the band, of course... He puts
Sent you down there.
Exactly. he brings Ozzy back into the trailer so I can interview him.
Yeah, right.
Just to watch that. And so I was all like, young and I'm not impressed with this, But he walked into the trailer. He walked off stage, walks into the trailer backstage, and there's tears streaming down his eyes. And I thought, oh my God, it really took me back. And I said, well, Ozzy, what's wrong? And he said, the crowd, they were just so great. And immediately I thought, oh man, this is the nicest guy. I just had to like him after that. Immediately I became a fan.
Because it wasn't as if it was his first gig,
I knew. No. And he was so moved by the crowd, I thought, well, I got to take another look at this guy, who he is. Yeah. And I've met him many times after that, interviewed him many times, and I really like him.
I do too.
Yeah, he's a good guy. You did a song with Ozzy and Slash together. You can pull in some talent, man. I ain't no nice guy. This song is a very honest look back at one's life from a guy who has a few miles on him.
Oh, yes, I'm afraid so, yes. Mostly with, chains on the tires, I'm afraid.
Been sliding around the road, have you? I thought Indiana Jones' line was the greatest. It ain't the years, it's the mileage.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Because you don't go straight there, do you?
No, man. No. And I am I am an expert in the ending up in the dead end cul-de-sacs of life and having to turn around and go back.
It's like being in the dark in the Holiday Inn, banging into the furniture, isn't it? You know?
Yeah. So and I thought this was a pretty honest track. When did this come about?
This was on the March or Die album back in '92.
Mm-hmm.
In '91 we wrote it. In '92 it came out, and Ozzy actually wanted the song. He asked me for the song, and I wouldn't give it to him. So he took the line of least resistance. He said, "Can I be on it with you?" So I said, "All right, yeah."
Well, it's a great tune. It gave me pause to think while I was listening to it and preparing for the interview. It's called "I Ain't No Nice Guy." That's an extraordinary tune, and people may kind of blanch at me saying this, but it reminds me of a Jackson Browne song called "These Days."
Does it? I don't know that.
It's it's a song about being retrospective about one's life. And he looks back on his life. The only thing is he wrote it when he was 16, and it sounds like a guy in his 70s writing it. Yeah, but I love that, and I love this this tune very much, and it's one of the few.
It's the piano that makes it, you know.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and the harmonies. You never hear harmonies with you. You know, it's
well, you do, but if you have to listen closely.
Yeah,
I mean, there's quite a few on the new album actually.
Is there? Yeah. Well, this is a great track, and I just wanted to share it with you. We got to stop here, and when we come back, I'm going to ask you, so I want you to give this some thought, about your philosophy of life. I would love to hear Lemmy's philosophy of life.
Well, it'll be short, at least.
Okay, all right. I'm sure it'll be pithy. And we're going to ask you about touring, and then we're going to play one more song from the brand new album.
Okay.
We'll be right back with Lemmy. I'm having a hell of a time. I'm so glad you came in.
Thank you. Me too.
This is great. And I didn't know really until tonight that this is the American premiere of your new album, The World Is Yours.
Surprise. We wanted to be a surprise, you see.
It's a wonderful surprise. Well, I gave you a little heads up. You've thought about it. We want to hear Lemmy's philosophy of life.
Yes, well, my philosophy on life is we're lucky to have got this far. The way we've been screwing up, we're really, really lucky to have even got a handhold on this far.
Yeah.
Because I think all this panic about going green is just like so much fashionable bullshit with slogans, and nobody's doing a damn thing about it.
Now, do you think the problem isn't real, or do you think that we're not addressing it correctly?
Well, the problem of pollution is real, for Christ's sake. We've been pouring the shit out into the air and the sea for God knows how many years. I mean, in the communist bloc in Eastern Europe, there was no emissions regulations whatsoever for the 60 years they were in power, you know. So, I mean, it's an interesting mix in those rivers, you know, or it was. And I just don't think you can patch this tyre. You know, I think we're going to have to get some new ones, and I don't think anybody's doing anything against. You know, they have meetings. Right.
Well, let me.
And then they have another one, and then they want to ratify that one.
It's like the life of Brian.
And then they want to discuss if they're going to have an idea.
Yeah, right.
You know,
they're not going to do anything, but we'll have a meeting on it.
It's a joke, you know.
Well, let me take issue with you just for a minute, just so we can have a little discussion about this. Because growing up being born in this town, I can remember clearly is an odd choice of words to talk about smog, but you don't hear about smog as much as you used to in Los Angeles.
That's because they got better stuff to talk about now.
Well, it is, but I do remember as a kid, Lemmy, seriously, that there were times when I would walk out or go out to play or whatever, and you couldn't see the top of a tall building for the pollution.
I remember it. I mean, it wasn't as bad when I got here the first time, 73.
It was still bad then,
It was still pretty bad.
So I think that through things like lower emissions of lead gasoline and things like that, you can see progress.
Yeah, but they took your fridge away, yeah.
Right. But you're right. We need to do more, but you don't have a lot of faith in this, right?
No, because we're still burning quite cheerfully fossil fuels, and we're not looking for an alternative. Not really. I mean, people say, "Oh, hybrid car." Oh, wow. You know, that's kind of like closing the door after the horse is gone. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like cars in America, and you're telling me everybody's going to drive a hybrid or a nice electric car? Forget it.
Don't think it's going to happen. Huh?
You're 17? What do you want? A muscle car.
That's true. That's true.
Or an SUV, you know, and that's what they're buying. And, like, you can't kill the habits of, like, generations,
Do you think that that's? You don't think that people can change or learn or understand that they have to adapt to a new world?
Well, the new world is uncomfortable, you see, so people aren't going to like it, are they?
Oh, I see. Well, we wouldn't want to put anybody out.
Yes, exactly. We don't want to upset people, right? There might be a revolution or something, or they might, come marching up and ask us some real interesting questions. We can't have that, so...
we can't have people asking hard questions.
Got to chuck them a few more hamburgers,
All right, well, there you go.
What do you think?
What do I think?
Yeah.
I think that we make progress. There was a quote I got from The West Wing once that politics is like the slow boring of hard wood, which is frustrating. But, I come from the generation that thought we were going to change the world in about a week.
And it didn't work, did it? Not quite.
I'll tell you, we made it.
It almost worked.
Well, I think we made it a better place, but we haven't made it perfect. We didn't fix it, but like we were talking about with Dr. King, that's certainly better.
That's stuck.
Women's rights,
but
although...
there again, that change was coming long before our generation,
Oh, sure. But it did change, as I'm saying. Whoever is responsible, it did change.
Well, at least it changed on the face of it.
Yes,
a lot of people haven't changed their heads on it,
But all you can do is change the law.
I know, that's
We
true.
changed the law. And so the world is it's a much better place than it was 40 years ago.
But that didn't have anything to do with pollution.
No, but again, as I say, L.A. is better, than it used to be. It's not perfect.
Yeah, but China's worse.
Well, China, no, that's a big problem. That's huge, and I don't even know how to deal with that. The only thing we can do is live by example. So we've got to get the electric car up, and we've got to get...
And we're talking about that, but China isn't.
No, China is not. No, they don't care.
No.
They don't give a damn.
Because it's the first time they've been off a bicycle for the last 40 years, right?
Yeah, talk about wanting the muscle car. Of course. They want a 12-cylinder.
A car.
Yeah, they want a car. They don't want to jump right into the electric
in the old
car.
East Germany, if you wanted a car, you had to put your name down at the factory, and you waited 7 years.
That's right.
And you got a Trabant made out of pressed cardboard with a 2-stroke engine in it. Sounded like a sewing machine.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And then if you wanted a telephone, 15 years. And then who are you going to call?
Yeah.
The Stasi, right?
Yeah.
It was hilarious. So, you got a lot of them people who've been robbed of all the creature comforts we take for granted, And they're not going to throw in their lot with an electric car, because there ain't that many filling stations yet.
Well, I'll tell you, they will if they care about their kids. They will if they care about their kids.
But they don't seem to, man.
Well, I know that's
the heads of industry don't seem to care that their grandchildren are going to be breathing through face masks.
No, I agree with you completely there.
And
because
I don't understand that.
Yeah. Well, they're rich enough to go to some island somewhere or live away from the pollution.
Even that island's going to get it if they don't watch out, man.
I agree.
Because it isn't going away.
Let me ask you, you brought up East Germany. I want to ask you something very quickly.
Yeah.
I got to go to... only time I've been to Germany was when Roger Waters did The Wall in Berlin. So I got to see that. And I've been told by a lot of Eastern Europeans who lived under the communist rule that the reason the wall fell was not because, thank God, America came and bulldozed it down from our side.
No, the Germans knocked it down, the East Germans.
From their side. And one of the big reasons I'm given for that happening, believe it or not, is rock and roll.
Yeah, it got across the wall, you see. They couldn't stop it. Because if you play it on one side of the wall, you can hear it on the other.
Yeah.
And there was kids being fire hosed off the wall, trying to get up to hear it, and they just kept coming. It's
an amazing thing that music had a hand in that, isn't it?
It has a strength.
Yeah.
A great strength. We went to Hungary before the wall came down, about a couple of years before, and we played this football stadium, and there was like 72,000 people there,
Wow.
I think that was the number, and there was all these guards around the perimeter, the Kalashnikovs, and these kids just went over them.
Wow.
They just walked, the guards just went with the crowd,
Fantastic.
Because you're not going to stop a crowd like that if, a machine gun, how long is a clip?
Yeah.
Well, 200 rounds, okay. And then?
And then?
So,
now you've pissed them off.
Yeah, right, you've upset them now, So, yeah, and there's a lot of that mentality still going on in Eastern Europe, but the authorities, and a lot of people funny enough, say, from East Germany, it was safer when we were under the communists. You could walk down the street at night and all that, you know. But they forget that you couldn't find a door that went and fit in the door hole, you know, like, or you couldn't get any hot water in the winter at all, you know.
Yeah. Well, and it was safe as long as you thought the same way,
right.
spoke
People have
the same way.
short-term memories, though, you see.
Yeah. All right, well, listen, before we get too deep
so
into
now
this,
we're all doomed. Let's
thanks a lot.
Let's have a cheerful song, you know.
I was kind of looking forward to a green environment, but apparently it's never going to happen. Thank you. Are you looking forward to touring with this album?
Yeah, sure. I mean, so far we've been doing 2 songs from it on the British tour and the German tour before Christmas.
Yeah.
And now we're going to try to get another one in, you know. But I found out when we toured with Another Perfect Day way back that if you play the whole album on stage, people don't like too much new. They want to hear some of the old stuff as well.
Is that frustrating I would imagine that's kind of frustrating.
I don't mind because I know how they feel, you know, because I used to feel the same way. If a band comes out and does stuff you don't know completely, then that really pisses you off because you want to hear your favourites. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, God help us if we ever start doing this to Spain, if we get torn limb from limb, you know. But luckily we got famous for a good one, you know. I mean, you could have got famous for a turkey, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Stuck with it the rest of your life, right?
The one pop song you did, you get stuck with that.
You know. Yeah, really.
We'll just throw this out there and it becomes your huge hit. I'm predicting that there's going to be a couple of Ace of Spades on this new album. So you're going to be playing some of the songs from this new album in concert for years to come.
I don't mind with this one. This is a good one.
All right, well, let me ask you one last question before we talk about this last song. What is the best thing about being Lemmy?
Well, I guess it's probably that I get so much help.
Really? How do you do that? Because I'd like to have that piece of knowledge.
Well, there's a lot of people help me through the hard bits of life now, you know, that they didn't used to, you know. I used to have to bang into the furniture on my own. Now there are people with, like, padded, like, sticks to guide me away from it, you know. It's very handy.
Get the tongs out. Lemmy's coming in.
Well, you know, it's like comforting, you know what I mean?
Well, very good. All right. Gets a lot of help. Speaking of help, there's some people I want to thank before we wrap this up. First off, Kenny Ryback over here, who is very helpful getting this interview together.
Mr. Ryback?
Mr. Ryback. A guy by the name of Bill Hunning, who couldn't have done this without him. Stu Herrera, who stepped up and provided a lot of the material for this. I thank Stu very much. And a guy by the name of Bob Buckman, who's our program director here and helped out as well. All right, let's talk about this.
Dixon Matthews.
Dixon Matthews, yes. Thank you very much. Bye-bye, bitch, bye-bye. Another quiet, introspective little love ballad here.
It's a beautiful little song that I wrote while I was sitting under a cherry tree in an orchard once.
I understand, on a fine spring day.
With a violin, yes.
This is a song that all guys can relate to at one time or another in their lives. Trust me on this. This is it now. Was this based on a real person or is this a combination of people?
It's a conglomerate of all the women who've done the thing I really didn't want them to do, you know.
You know, someday you're going to have to do a triple album set just on that subject for all of us.
No kidding.
Man. Because I got to this song and I went, bingo. All right, man. Well, we're going to play. This is from the new album. It's The World Is Yours is the title of the album, and you've been listening to the American premiere. Lemmy, I can't thank you enough, man.
Thank you, sir.
Now, you come back here with Headcat someday.
I will. I'll come back and do it all again, yeah.